Yes, we welcome Dr. Madlai Muthu. Doctor, the dice is yours.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, good evening to one and all present here. So, here we'll see the syllabus pattern and how to tackle UGC NET exam, especially with regard to psychology. Now, I think most of you are aware of the pattern, the present exam pattern with paper 1 and paper 2. It is MCQ pattern. Now, in paper 1, mostly it is related to aptitude with reference to research, then teaching aptitude, then communication skills and other things are all given there. And paper 2 has whoever appears in a particular subject with a master's degree will need to go appear for that particular paper, apt for that paper, say psychology or commerce, management as such. So there are 100 questions in paper 2. Now, there is no minimum cutoff mark in either of the paper. Both combined paper 1 and paper 2 is taken for ranking. So earlier there used to be minimum cutoff for paper 1, then paper 2 was there, paper 3. Now they have merged paper 2 and paper 3 of the syllabus of that subject, and now ranking is simple. So I've just listed out the syllabus for paper 1, like teaching aptitude, research aptitude, reading comprehension, mathematical reasoning, logical reasoning, people and environment, communication, information and communication technology, governance and data interpretation. Now, most of the students, especially from arts, find it very difficult to qualify paper 1. Earlier, 60 questions were given, and out of 60, 50 questions were to be answered, and minimum questions of minimum 18 questions were to be right in order to correct the paper 2 and paper 3, evaluate the other papers. Now it is very simple. Now whether you get 0 or 50 doesn't matter, provided out of 150 questions how many questions are answered. And now even there is no minimum mark, like top 6% are selected. So there was a case in Kerala High Court, why only no less members are selected, and they said various other reasons, and instead of having cutoff, remove the cutoff and select at least 6% in each category. So like that they've changed the entire criteria. So now people, especially with regard to social science background, those who did not have mathematics or computer science background, need not worry. Like, of course the questions are asked, but we'll have to maximize the areas where we can score. That's what I mean to say. Now generally now they say like each section will consist of 5 questions. So there are 10 topics given, and equal weightage is given for all the topics. But still sometimes current affair oriented and administrative good governance oriented questions are asked, and the environment is given more weightage. Now I've just listed out the cutoff for different subjects. I am not sure how many are from different departments. So I've listed given the cutoff for all the subjects. Probably you can have a look at it. So for computer science and commerce, education, then English and psychology. Now why do I give these statistics for you? Now when we observe the cutoff here, more or less consistent, like for every year, June 19, and if you see the cutoff in 2019 June and December 19, just slightly 1% is different, 1. And you again look at for JRF, just same 0.67, and for other categories. So what I want to tell you from these statistics is the cutoff remains same, more or less same. So some people say the question was very difficult, therefore I was not able to qualify. No, whether question is, if the question is difficult, then it is difficult for everybody. If it is easy, it is easy for everybody. So based on the nature of questions, yes, of course, since the way we answer may be difficult, but only thing, we need to be very confident. That's what I meant to say. Now you start preparing based on the previous question paper, 2-3 years of question paper, you revise and go there, and the very first question you get, you do not know, because they ask from some random questions. So you need not panic. So generally, if you look at it, the cutoff remains more or less same. It's not no, the difference will be somewhere around 2 or 3%, not more than. I've never seen the difference being like 10% jump. No, it has never been. It can be less, 1%, 2%, or more, 1%, 2%. So that's all. And moreover, now people have a little bit of confusion looking at the scoring pattern given in the UGC, because now they also give you the percentile rank. So when I ask people how much mark did you get, then they say I got 76%. No, 70, and still they say they failed. And they say no, since I belong to this category, the cutoff is very high. Even with 76, I am not able to get. So when you look at your scorecard, you need to be very clear what is the percentage mark given and what is the percentile rank given. Now you need not worry about your percentile rank unless you apply for central universities where they ask you the percentile rank in the application. Apart from that, you need not worry when you are preparing for the NET exam. You need to know how many questions you are answering properly. You look at the individual score that you are getting. So if you are getting, say, 56%, then you can qualify for assistant professor. Say if you are getting, say, another 5% extra, you can be sure of getting JRF. So please look at the number of questions you are going to answer and the correct answers rather than the percentile rank, because it is calculated in relationship with the rest of the people who have appeared in the exam. So that one difference we need to be aware of it. Now generally there are certain myths among the students. See, whatever I am presenting here is based on my experience while dealing with other students for the last 10 years, especially when they come for when I've seen them for other competitive exams. So whatever I am giving is from purely my personal opinion, need not be exactly true, but this is based on observation. Now generally people say is the cutoff is different for that particular community and this class and that class, therefore I am not able to clear. Now especially with regard to UGC, they have made it very clear, each class will get 6% and each department wise. So the competition is purely between the particular class, so you need not worry about the reservation. Now of course that is different story, whether no reservation good or bad, or whether allotted or not, purely merit or not, that is different thing. Now with regard to this exam, and they have made it equal percentage of people will be selected from each category. So therefore it's purely competition among that particular category. Need not worry about it, and so we'll have to compete with that particular class. So that is one thing. Second, when people say it is very tough to clear, in generally all the question papers will have some tough questions. So even if you give the same question paper to the examiner who set the question paper, he may not remember. So if there are 100 questions, around 15 questions will be extremely difficult. So that's what in a normal probability you fit, around 68% of population will be in the average, and other 14 this side and the other 14 the other side. So similarly we can categorize the questions in the normal probability curve based on the easiness or average difficulty levels and other, whether it is extremely difficult like that. Now So if you are looking at the difficult questions, if you are getting the difficult questions initially, so each time you go to any competitive exam, you just open the first page, most of the time we'll get some unfamiliar questions. So usually I'll tell people to open from middle or go from the other side, but here we do not have that freedom to choose the questions, because the questions are sent in the random order for us, but probably you can skip. So what I mean to say is, like, yes, there are difficult questions, but if we are thorough with the basic concepts which are required for that particular subject or that particular exam, what is given in the syllabus, and if we are familiar with the basic concepts, minimum 45%. So for us, for out of 100, we'll get minimum 45 questions. So when you are getting minimum 45 questions correct, you are almost in the race. You are sure to get so look at the questions which you are familiar, rather than the random questions. You need not chase away. So somebody was asking me last week, sir, during the lockdown, students are free, so will the examiner ask tough questions because we are free and we can study more? So we need not assume so many other things. So when we say lockdown, for us, the lockdown is for the teacher also. Moreover, there is a standard, there is a pattern. So when they are setting the questions, it has to be, they have to select the students, not going to completely reject asking all the tough part or some extreme questions. So every question paper will have the easy questions and moderate questions, and let us maximize the score and be prepared to face the simple things that is required for that particular subject. So that is one thing. Then there are people, those who go to Delhi and come back, saying that we'll have coaching in Delhi, the best materials are given, or the best materials, and most of the people have that tendency, saying that there is a bias towards North. Yes, those people are really working hard, that is different story. But we need not worry, since UGC is there in Delhi, so professors closer to that maybe setting the question paper, so whatever they teach in the academy may come. So these are the ideas that we used to get for every competitive exam, even for UPSC. But remember, this exam, as we say, like, it's for democracy, like the equality has to be ensured. So a student studying through distance education somewhere in this corner of country, sitting and studying, is also eligible to appear for this exam. And the student, say in some elite institutions like JNU and other universities in Delhi, are also equally eligible to appear for the same exam. So whatever the syllabus is given, and the questions are asked from there, and moreover they will cover the basic books. Say if you are studying psychology, then Barron, Morgan and King, then Cicerelli. So all those basic books which are prescribed for almost followed in almost every university. So we need to be familiar with that book. Coaching centers will give a number of books, so they will copy and paste, edit. Of course, there are coaching centers who really work hard and do the things, but they will try to give you maximum information from various books. You cannot sit and study everything in last 3 months. So, but if we are good in, we are thorough with one basic book, still you can get 50 questions of, 50% of questions and answer it. So please stick with the basic books. Yes, coaching materials, it's up to you. If you want to refer, you refer. But basically, stay with your books prescribed by any one university. So almost every university will have the basic books. Barron and Cicerelli and this Morgan and King will be there in almost every university. Will say that, even in the colleges. So please stick with that book. Now, so when it comes to coverage, we do not know. Probably somebody who later watch this video also may be setting the question paper. God knows. So it's not that since UGC is there, only the people around that institution will set the question paper. Professor can be anywhere, they can set the question paper. So, and moreover, the patterns are given, the syllabus is given, and they know how to cover, be representative of entire people across India. So need not have this myth. So these are the things generally when we talk with the people, especially in the rural area, they say only people in Delhi, only those people will be able to clear all these competitive exam. It's not only with net exam, even for rest of the competitive exam. This general tendency I've seen in the rural areas. So let's break this myth. The institution is really democratic, and it is very transparent, and questions are answerable by any person. Now, when we look at any question paper, we can classify the questions like basic facts, then concepts oriented, then the core area. Actually, what are the things? Say, for example, when we are talking about psychology, then theories of intelligence, personality, perception, all those things are all core areas. So without that, there cannot be other applied psychology. So without cognition, the theories of personality and the theories of intelligence, then theories of memory, we cannot go for social psychology, the other applied aspects. So now when we are preparing, see, if you see the revised syllabus, it has given so many things, emerging areas and other applied areas. So they have given many other topics which we may not be familiar. Now, if you are thorough with the basics, now that core area, the concepts, then definitely the question can be fit in this normal probability curve. At least 68% of the questions will be there from these topics. Probably, yes, the applied area will be there, but without studying this, we may not be able to answer the other questions. So please look at the questions. Probably some of you may be good in applied areas. Some of you may not be interested in memorizing. And some people will say like, I like these particular topics, so I will study that. Now, please go through the previous question paper, find out which are the areas they are focusing more. Say, for example, from biological basis of behavior, minimum 10 to 15 questions are asked. Again, perception, intelligence. So these are the areas which all of us should know. Everybody, whoever claims to be a psychologist, should know the basic facts regarding these theories in learning, personality, then biological basis of behavior. So and most of them are factual in nature. And if we do not know the basic facts, even if we are thorough with the high-fi concept or the recent concepts and able to answer, we will be able to answer only to 20 questions, 22 maximum 25 questions, not more than that. Most of the questions are factual in nature. At least 40 questions will be factual in nature. So if you are studying one particular book, you will be able to answer that. So we can classify the questions as extremely easy and extremely difficult and moderate. Now, please focus on the moderate level of questions. Now, that is so whatever I was telling you about general myth with regard to this exam and how the questions has to be analyzed. Now, coming back to our actual exam preparation. Now, some of you may find it difficult, especially with regard to mathematics and logical reasoning. Now, if you are not very good in mathematics, if you cannot if you are not interested in it, leave it. Focus on teaching aptitude, research aptitude. Anyway, research is covered in your core paper. So focus on the research aptitude, then communication. These are all very simple questions. So around that you will get minimum 20-25 questions you will be able to answer. So please do the SWOT analysis in which are the areas you are interested in, which you think you can learn better. Then try to maximize the score in that particular area. Then please take the previous year question paper from ugcnetonline.com and practice those questions. If you go by the Coaching Wala material, tomorrow even if I start a coaching center, please don't practice whatever I frame and give you, because now it has become a big market for UGC Net coaching, and because everybody tries to give 10 questions, 15 questions per day. They send it, so they frame, they copy from different take, frame, copy, or whatever, but the standard is coming down. Now if you are practicing those question and answers and go, definitely you will find it difficult. Take the UGC net questions, what is really asked in the exam. So all those questions asked since 2012 are available in the website, and the keys are also given. So download them, practice them. So take one topic for 2-3 days and practice. Say if you are taking teaching aptitude, select the teaching aptitude section from 2012 to say 2019, whatever is asked. Almost 80% of the questions are repeated. They just reframe the words, and most of the questions are repeated. So please practice the questions which are given by the UGC rather than available in the market. Yes, use it. I don't say you don't join the coaching, but what I suggest is, even if you are doing just 5 questions, please practice from UGC. So it is available in the website. Download them and practice them. So now each person may have their own strength area. For you, please list out at least 5 areas out of 10 areas. List out 5 areas and prepare 1 week per topic. So now exam is in August first week. Now we have another 2 months, so 8 weeks are there. You can easily cover at least 5 topics. So if you are covering 5 topics, then you will be able to answer at least 50% of the questions, so 25 questions. So you are in the actual list. So if you are getting 55 plus, then you can clear net exam. So what people say is they look at the questions and go through, this question I do not know, this is oh god, my god. So the questions in the actual examination are shuffled. One question from environment, and another question they will ask from communication, which year that All India Radio was started. Then again suddenly they will ask what is sustainable development goal. Then another question from syllogism. That too, in these days they've added on Indian philosophy, logical reasoning. So they are in Sanskrit. We do not know how to pronounce also. So now, don't be afraid of all the random questions you just see. Select those areas which you are comfortable. Maximize your effort on that and try to learn more on that and practice the questions. So when you appear for the exam, you answer only those questions. Skip the things that you are not aware. You need not panic. Spend time in answering all those areas in which you have studied well, and answer at least 25 questions. You answer the rest of things, answer something, because there is no negative. You will get 1/4. I'll tell you answer it, not a problem. Because I've seen people like earlier those days, I used to sit and count how many A's are there, how many B's are there, how many C's are there, how many D's are there in the option choice. So constancy hypothesis says like equal probability, 1/4. Almost every question answer, right answer gets equal representation. So that's what science is all about. So when they frame the question paper also, they will not allow all the questions to be A or B or C or this zigzag. So that randomness spread will be there. So if you are thorough of answering all the whatever you are perfect, you answered that questions, then you know whether you answered B maximum come or C came. So whichever is not answered, you select that particular letter and give for everything. So in the last exam, lastly concluded the exams, I observed one person. I told him many times, see, if you do not have time, answer, choose any, either A, B or C, D, inky, pinky, monkey, you put anything. Choose one particular letter and answer it. Did not listen, simply put A, randomly he put A, B, C, D. Told him, if you do not know the answer for all those questions, choose one letter and answer. So last 20 questions, he just randomly put here and there. Out of that 20 questions, he did not get even one single question correct. But if you had chosen at least A or B or C or D equally, 5 came. I think one letter was extra, one was less. But on going through that, at least minimum 4 was by percentage 1/4, then you will get the equal chance for every option was 5, but minimum 4 was available. So, and he failed by 0.33. If he had chosen at least one letter, he would have got at least by normal probability 1/4, 5 questions. Now, what I mean to say is, now apply probability there. So if you are able to guess these statistical knowledge and probability, apply there, you can maximize the score, because these are the things were taught earlier for UPSC. After that they changed, they brought negative marking. So even then, even if negative marking is applied, still it will give you advantage. So these are the things are actually taught in Delhi Coaching Center. These are the apart from that, in terms of knowledge wise, there is nothing much. I mean, in the sense, equally everywhere the same thing is taught. So when you are practicing, sitting and writing the practice test and observe the questions, then you will know which whether A comes frequently, B comes frequently, C comes frequently, D comes frequently. Now please don't blindly go and answer A, B, C, D or anyone like that. When we then there is no meaning for hard work. So when you really work hard and answer at least 50% of the questions, then for the remaining 50% of question you go by this, then because the more questions you answer accurately, then the probability that you apply, the accuracy of the probability will be much better. So we need to be very careful, but take this at the last minute. But the more sure you are about the 50% of the syllabus, then your probability will also increase in the estimation. Now, what are the books? Now, book, especially with regard to paper 1, see, mathematical aspects, yes, you can practice, and if you are sure that adaptation, minimum 15 questions. So with the minimum 15 questions, yes, you can maximize score. You can get even up to 80%. But for the people, those who are not good in that, probably can focus on the environment. Please refer the book by Iruk Barusha, Textbook of Environmental Studies for Undergraduate. So this book covers all the basic concepts required for UGC NET exam. In addition to that, now the latest things that is happening with regard to climate change, especially Biodiversity Act and the Sustainable Development Goal. Now this Millennium Development Goal got ended in 2015. After that, they have set to certain goals for sustainable development. The target is set. So now 2020, Biodiversity Act also set some targets in 2020. So if you are going back to the previous news or the schemes which have set target for 2020, if you visit, revise those protocols, especially this Paris Agreement and conventions, Stockholm Convention, all those things related to environment, you will definitely get 1 or 2 questions. So in that way, you can maximize for paper 1. And for teaching aptitude, please refer IGNO book, especially with MED IGNO. So those books give you very clear idea about the basic concepts asked in UGC. Say for example, teaching evaluation, then the relationship between teacher and learner. All those concepts are covered here. So you need not sit and study entire book. Even there is a website called Murnal. So if you go there, he has actually given how to eliminate the answer, different techniques, how to easily answer for this teaching aptitude, and he has given the list of books also. You can download from that website. So refer IGNO books for teaching aptitude. Again, environment, use this Barusha. And logical reasoning, minimum 3 questions are asked from syllogism, deductive reasoning and syllogism. Now just type square of opposition in Google, then you will get so many other so many websites explaining what is square of opposition. Now there is one particular website from in Stanford University Department of Philosophy that clearly gives explains with the example. So if you are familiar or thorough with this particular picture, you can answer one question, and down if you read in that page, you will be able to answer another one question. So there are 3 questions asked, covered from this area. You can answer at least 2 questions. So likewise, you can choose the topic and maximize the score in that particular area. So non-verbal reasoning and other quantitative aptitude, usually people preparing for almost every competitive exam refer this RS Agarwal. So probably you can buy and practice it. In my opinion, please be thorough with teaching aptitude, because we are aspiring to become a teachers. So it's better we have the basic knowledge on teaching aptitude as well as the research aptitude than communication. So if you are covering this, I think paper 1 you can get minimum 35 questions, minimum 35. Now when it comes to psychology, now as I told you earlier, it's better we focus more on the basic areas. So basic areas take from the basic books like Barron and Morgan and King and Cicerelli. Now these will give you around 25 to 30. So as per normal probability curve, minimum 34, 35 questions we can be sure of getting it. Now what about getting 60%? If I want to get JRF, then research methodology, psychological testing is necessary. Then cognitive psychology. So if you are covering these simple for say general psychology, you take one book and study them thoroughly. Now keep Morgan and King and Barron as a reference book. If you are taking Cicerelli as your basic book, and keep the other 2 as a reference. Say for example, this simultaneous scanning, successive scanning, that particular theory of intelligence by Jerome Bruno. So that theory will be available in Morgan and King. It will not be available in other 2. So similarly, there are certain basic concepts covered in one book may not be covered in other book. So you can refer, but take one book as your Bible, keep it as your Bible, study, spend 2 hours per day, enough. Study for 2-3 months. You can still clear this exam. Then research methodology, minimum 10 questions are asked. Now research methodology and psychological testing covers 10 questions. They are asked in case studies. I think most of the people may be finding it difficult to solve it. So if you go by the questions, they are repeating the same questions. In each case studies, at least 3 questions are repeated in different way, one or the other way. So please do the analysis of previous question and cover those topics. And so if you go for research methodology, there are so many books, and you need not really you need not study all these even any of the books. You need to cover only few things. Probably I'll tell you at the end when I talk about case studies. Now psychological testing, Gregory, again we need to cover only few things. I'll tell you afterwards. Now basic things will give you with regard, now if you have covered the basic book, then research methodology, testing, then we are sure to cross say 60 questions, minimum 60 questions. So there in paper 1, say if you are crossing 25 and here you are crossing 60, then I'm sure you will be in the assistant professor list, because average comes 55%. So to be safe, we can aim for 60%. But in my opinion, if a person is genuine with these books and study them properly, say revise, 1 week you take 1 chapter, study them thoroughly, then revise them. The following week you take another chapter, read thoroughly, then probably revise it. So all these basic how to revise, learning techniques, being a psychological student, you know it. So please apply those concepts here also, and take the previous question paper and solve related to that particular area. So by doing so, even a non-psychology student can clear this exam in 3 months just by studying. If the person is able to memorize and learn and apply a few concepts with 3 months, even whether it is psychology or any social sciences, even a non-psychologist student or the student who is new to that particular subject can clear UGC NET exam. Because the clearing of exam, any competitive exam, it is more of the skills and strategies you use rather than the knowledge that you have. So please apply some strategy and maximize the score as you progress further. If you are thorough with the basic concepts, then learn additional concepts, same learning, then memory, all those things are all covered in perception, all those things are all covered in cognitive psychology. Now basis of the basic concepts in biology of basic basis of biological behavior. So all those things are all again added in that becomes neurocognitive psychology. So it's all interrelated, and sometimes the questions are asked. Now, which part of the brain the short-term memory is stored or used, and long-term memory? So like that, questions are asked. Now, for these things, even if you are able to relate with the basic fact that you have memorized, you will be able to answer. But still, if you want to refer, you can refer, and any cognitive psychology will give you. So you are sticking with the basic subjects or basic chapters in general psychology and expanding your knowledge using other books. Need not go from one page to the end of the book. Choose the important topics. If you go through the previous year question papers, you know it. Yes, this part, especially with regard to theories of personality, because now we are talking about these strategies, all those things. So far, I think 10-11 people have cleared, and I am repeating the same stories to them also. Repeated the same stories to them, and they have followed these things and they have cleared. Now, I do not know how many of you are seeing. Now, if you are, applying these things, almost all of you will be in the border, 50%. So make extra effort. Choose another topic, say social psychology or theories of personality or abnormal psychology. So the other part, now you expand, choose any one book, standard book. Say for example, this is cuts from this particular book, theories of personality, all the things which we will not find in the basic books. Almost all those concepts are covered in this in this particular book. So take any one. So after you are thorough, if you are, once you have completed the basics, now expand to the other things and just go through the terms given in the important terms, and they would have highlighted, read only those things. And I think it was in 2016, almost all the questions asked in theories of personality were covered from this book. So probably you can choose any one and maximize your scoring. Then depending upon your interest, to be sure, if you want to score say 70%, 80%, then you can focus on other areas, because in these days they are considering this net score for other recruitment, also for DIPR and other things. Also they are asking UGC net score. So probably you can maximize your ranking. Now how to approach exams? So usually 3 techniques are given, like answer all the easy questions with regard to fact and basic concepts. Then use elimination technique. If you do not know what is there, then you go by eliminating the answer which cannot be the answer. So remove that particular thing, and then you find out. And sometimes there will be the choices will be related to one another. A, B, C, D, all will be similar. So in that way, it will be difficult. But most of the time, if you see one particular choice will be distinct from the other. Usually when it is the new topic, that will be very distinct. So you can choose that usually. So we'll see few questions and how to answer this. Say for example, now reciprocal determinism is an interaction between each of the following. Now this particular question, whether you understand or not, whether you are thorough with the concept or not, being a psychology student, you should know it. If you do not know it, then please don't say that you are a student of psychology. So these are the basic concepts. So if you look at any particular year, take randomly any question, at least 40 questions will be there like this, and we need to be thorough with that. Now here, please don't guess, and these are the things. This is what I mean. No, I've been telling, like, we need to be thorough with the basic concept, fact, all those things. So now everybody knows what is the answer, who gave all those things. Being a student of psychology, we must know. So who gave this theory and what are the concept behind it. So and it is available in a basic general psychology book, general psychology, in any general psychology book you will find it. For this, you need not study theories of personality by different authors. Even if you are referring basic book, you know this. Say take this question. Now when I look at the question, really I do not know the answer now, but looking at it, at least you can find out a club out of these 4 choices. You can club 2 things. Say for example, A and A, this first one and third one, then second one and fourth one. So either, so if an answer can, now we have only 2 choice, we need to choose between this or this. So like that, you club them. If you do not know the answer, club them. Then from that, you try to find out which can be the best choice. Now going by this, now when we look at the terms, probably it may be shocking what all these things are all new terms. This restless leg syndrome, I have never seen. Nocturnal leg cramps, we do not know if you are not sure about it. But if you look at the basic psychology book, and everybody knows what is night terror, what is circadian rhythm disorder. Now based on these other 2 choices, you will be able to answer the question. But these 2 will be, of course, the entire thing is there in the basic psychology, but in the previous edition it was not there. In the latest edition it is given. So and again, what they do it, if this particular year, if they ask you this question, so there are 4 concepts in this one question, but tomorrow only one particular term can be taken and asked as a separate question. You just go through the previous question paper, you will realize what is asked in match the following is framed as a single question. What is the meaning of this particular term, or something related to one particular term. So they are repeating, at least 50% of the questions are repeated, but in different way. So here, one thing, you know the topic which the examiner may ask in the next time down the line, and another thing is how to eliminate. Now at least one thing we know, night terror, we have extreme agitation. Then circadian rhythm disorder is sleep wake disturbance in sleep wake cycle. So based on that, you will be able to answer. So especially with regard to this match the following, take the previous question. Be able to answer at least 3-4 questions in the following year. So this is directly given in the simple psychology. So but when you look at this, it looks as if it is from abnormal psychology, but enough 4th chapter in any general psychology about consciousness, dreams, there it is covered. Now see this particular question, assertion and reasoning, almost everybody find it difficult. Now assertion and reasoning, generally read the first statement, assertion. If it is true, read the second statement. If both are true, put hence. The information processing approach is rooted in structuralism because it attempts to identify basic practice, basic capacities and process. Read, add because or hence. So if it is meaningful, logical, if the both the statements are true and logical, when you connect with because or hence, then you go for answer A. Both are true and it is the right explanation. So if A is true but the reason is false, then answer is C. If both are true, but it doesn't explain logically, then answer is B. And if the first one is wrong, then you need not even worry about what is statement 2. Directly go for D. But this is the pattern generally in every competitive exam. But in UGC NET exam, they change the code. A, B, C, D. They change the code. You just read it. But this is the first thing how to address this type of question. So you need to put because or hence and try to connect. First, find out whether it is true or not. Now, this particular question say, you know what is information processing approach? In generally, we will see it in general psychology by Atkinson. Information processing approach to memory. And structuralism, we know who gave this theory, who is father of this, what is the main purpose of structuralism, study the elements of cognition. So when it comes to information processing approach, probably this particular line, it may be there only in cognitive psychology. I have not seen, but with the knowledge that we have in the general psychology, that whatever we have studied, what is information processing approach, what is structuralism, with that we can answer this question. And so answer is A, because structuralism, what structuralism does, what are the elements of mind. Now information processing approaching also, what is structure and what are the process. So these are the things which when you are actually referring the book, read it 2-3 times, then you will actually understand the concepts. But now, what if you go by the question banks? You will know only the answer for that particular question. But if you are solving using the book, textbook, standard books, then you will see in the actual question paper, in the textbook itself, the author would have explained the information processing approach is root. And now if you look at the actually history of cognitive psychology, these things are all covered. So when you are actually referring the original textbook, then you will identify from the paragraph which of the information can be framed as assertion and reasoning, and which of the questions can be framed as, say, match the following. So you will know when you are solving the original questions on your own rather than getting the key from the coaching centers. So if you are trying to solve last 3 questions on your own, take the question, go through the textbook, standard textbook. Please don't Google initially, because Google will give you instantly the answer. But if you are reading this one each and every topic, say for example in the previous thing, now I went through the actual source book, Cicerelli. Now I got all the 4 terms for the previous question. So whatever is given in the listed in this book. Now additionally I learned other three terms. This may be question for the next exam. So when the examiner sets the question, they just generate questions and give. I do not know what is the process there, but definitely when they will generate many. One particular examiner may generate questions from one particular topic and send to the database. From there I think they will pull. Definitely one person will not be setting the question and directly 100 questions. In my opinion, like there will be at least 3 or 4 examiner setting different set of question papers. So and randomly they will select and see to that it fits the normal probability curve. So this year if they have asked the 3 terms here, and when you are searching for the answer, and now you are getting additional things related to that particular topic and you are learning it. So in that way, even if they ask which is not asked earlier, you will be able to answer. So if they repeat the same question, good. But if you are saying usually what we do, look at the question, we do not know, then look at the key, A or B. Okay, A is the answer. We'll go to the next question. So this is one of the reasons why people going through the coaching materials and the question banks do not pass. So usually say yes, I have done, because there is a familiarity and there is availability heuristics. So okay, I've seen this. So and they will go by A or B. So please go through the textbook and solve it on your own. Just to confirm, if in case you have a doubt, then go to UGC NET and take the key. Now, this particular question, do not know. Please don't waste your time. Don't scold your teacher. don't scold the person who set the exam question paper. If you do not know, skip and save your time, go to the next question. So these are the random questions you will not find in Morgan and King. Now I am not sure, but I have not seen. I think because they have given the choices as like digital technology, I don't think it will be there in Morgan and King. Now such a questions, now if you are sitting and doing research on these topics, I don't think tomorrow they will focus on these questions, this area. But if you are doing focusing on these type of questions, definitely you will get at least 2-3 questions from this area, because these are the things basic to psychology, like information approach, cognition, and again these questions are basic to psychology, and if you are making effort on these areas, you will get it. But I don't think if you are making effort on these areas, I'm not sure if the same questions will be repeated or not. So like this, try to analyze the questions, go through those areas which are important and fundamental for psychology. And say, being a psychologist, if you say you do not know what is Gen D factor, doesn't matter. Okay, I'm not aware of it. You can openly say it. But if you say you do not know what is reciprocal determinism or the sleep disorders or information processing approach, then people will laugh at us. So please first be thorough with the basic concepts. Now, when it comes to case studies, if you look at the previous question papers, they know the questions are around these themes, whether it is a research methodology and again psychological testing. They are asked in the format of case studies, and at least two case studies are there, so 10 questions. Now, factor analysis, if you look at the actual question papers, out of 5 questions, 3 questions will be repeated in different form. So you need to know what are those 3 questions, and you just go through all the December question papers, especially prior to this exam being conducted. Now it is conducted by NDA. Earlier it was CBSE. Before that UGC was directly conducting. So if you look at that, in every June they would ask ANOVA, and every December they would ask factor analysis. So I used to tell the people, if you are appearing for December exam, you go through only factor analysis, please don't go through ANOVA. That's how I used to directly say. In fact, I used to fix the answer also for 75, question number 75, put C, like that. It is easy, you just go through the previous question paper and also the keys. It will be like that only. So this is such a simple exam it is, provided you go through it and compare the questions and answers. But now they have made it tricky, and moreover, there are different questions, different sessions. So one person attending morning may not get the same question the person who attends in the evening. So now also the case studies are shifted. It's not like earlier. Now we cannot say exactly this particular case study will come for this particular exam, because these are all random. Now earlier it used to be like that. Now, but again, when I saw the even the previous year question, the last 2019, the question paper, they asked about ANOVA. So people are saying, sir, no ANOVA, only MANOVA is there. But read the passage, read the type of questions. At least 3 questions were related to ANOVA. So see, the basic concepts, whatever is research design and degrees of freedom, the formula is same. So statistical analysis carried out in that particular passage given is different. Apart from that, the concepts are same. So what I mean to say is, please go through the case studies asked in the previous question paper. Now take the keys, mark them, and see them how the questions are reframed in the following year and the subsequent years, and try to understand at least those concepts. It is not very easy to understand them, but it will take time. But if you apply in that way, then you will get at least three questions out of 5. You will get 3 questions. Even the last case studies, MANOVA, only 1 question was new, though but the rest of the stories were whatever asked for ANOVA was there. Only for in the last line they added MANOVA was carried out and certain statistical test related to MANOVA was carried out, so which is suitable. So only 2 questions were different. So every year in the case studies, if you are solving the previous question paper, you will be able to answer at least 3 questions. And with regard to this tool construction, they will say some Thurston's paired comparison test was used that equal appearance in equal interval appearance. All so many techniques they would have given. But if you look at the questions, it has nothing to do with the passage. Even with a simple common sense, you can answer. Say, for example, if there are 11 items, how many paired comparison has to be made? You don't require psychological testing. Just permutation combination, 10th standard mathematics enough. So that is one area. First, people are finding it very difficult with case studies when it comes to research methodology and psychological testing. People find it like, oh no, I do not know mathematics. That's the reason why I came for arts group. But still, why do people ask all these statistics and mathematics? No, nothing. You just go through it. You need not even read the passage. At least read the questions. By reading the questions, you will be able to answer at least 1 or 2 questions. It is not strictly like reading comprehension. Just with the basic knowledge of what are the assumptions are ANOVA, you will be able to answer 1 question. You need not read the passage. Then what is degrees of freedom? What is the formula to find out? What is the interaction effect? That's all. But for those things, degrees of freedom and research design, what is the design that is most appropriate for this study? Yes, of course, you have to go through the passage. But very simply, by looking at it, they would have given the levels of variable. From that, you know how to answer it. If you know what is the basic knowledge about the research design. So that's why in terms of research methodology, I did not specify any particular book. So I gave you the Google images. Need not study any book. Just please solve the previous questions and learn the formulas. In fact, they are repeating the same question. The numbers are same, but slightly they are twisting. So if you go through the questions, you will realize. Then reliability, validity, just one simple formula how to find out that from split of reliability, that Spearman-Brown formula, how to adjust the value. So for that, either you learn the formula and go through the entire work, try to solve it, or put it in the Google, find out the value, what is for 0.5, what is the adjusted value, memorize and go. Instead of studying entire book, research methodology and psychological testing, Anastasi and Gregory, of course, Anastasi and Gregory gives you the formula as well as the tables, the values. So if you know how to work out mathematically, then learn the formula. If you are finding it difficult, of course you can learn the formula and try to solve there. It will take time. If you are simply memorizing and going, you will be able to answer it. So you need not waste your time. Probably you can spend your time for other questions, for thinking and to recall and answer the other questions. So these are the areas which we can maximize, make the effort. Certain things can be memorized and answered easily. So it's up to you. I need not sit and memorize all these things. Let me memorize a formula and go. Yeah, it's up to you. Similarly, degrees of freedom, formulas, just 4 formulas. You need to know only 4 formulas. You will be able to answer at least 2 questions. So when you are preparing for especially this UGC NET exam, you need to solve those case studies and you need to practice. Please don't purchase all the books for research methodology and try to go through the entire thing. So far they have asked only the case studies and focus on those things. Of course, the other questions related to sampling, other things, anyway you will be studying for research aptitude, or those are all the basics you might have studied. But these are the area which people find it very difficult, but please try to solve them. So